You know him as the creator of timeless musical masterpieces. His music is seen as aspirations for many, and is performed in front of average audiences as well as royal families and the Pope. His name, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And next week, Orion Pictures is releasing a film about his life and work, Amadeus. This film, at some times seen as controversial, is one that many will go out to see this weekend. But the film is especially important for one individual, Anna Maria, the great-great-great-granddaughter of Mozart himself. We sat down with her to get her reaction for this film and to see what her life is like being the descendant of someone so famous.
In this North Carolina city lives the descendants of one of the world's greatest musical treasures. The family of Mozart now calls Charlotte, North Carolina home. Despite its size, it is a far cry from the European cities in which their ancestor entertained aristocracy in the 18th century. Meet Anna Maria Mozart. She's one of the few who can claim to be a descendant of Mozart, and the similarities between the two include more than just a name.
So, North Carolina is an interesting place to find someone with such a famous ancestor. How did your family end up here?
Well, as you know, our family comes from Austria, but during the outbreak of the Second World War, my grandparents decided to move to America in order to escape the violence of our home country. North Carolina had the appeal of small towns away from major cities, which is a change that was greatly welcomed in my family.
And how did you first learn that you were related to Mozart?
Well, if the name wasn't enough to give it away, we began to realize as kids that our family had special musical talents. At each family gathering, we would sit around and play music together. And you could probably say from a very young age I had some musical talent.
So this is something that has been sort of passed down in your family, this musical talent?
Yes, some of us are more adept at playing an instrument, while others, such as my brother, are better at writing the music rather than performing.
Now, what's the general consensus amongst your family over Mozart's portrayal within Amadeus?
I believe that everyone was a little surprised when the studio announced that they would be adapting this into a film. We didn't necessarily think that the film portrayed Mozart in a bad way. In fact, my parents and grandparents seemed to like the fact that Mozart didn't have a perfect life and experienced struggles just like everybody else does.
One such struggle possibly being his behavior or his high amounts of debt?
Yes, I believe you could say those were accurate.
Now, what about the character Salieri within Amadeus? The film shows Salieri to have a deep hatred towards Mozart, jealous of his success. But the film also shows Salieri trying any means possible to bring down your ancestor. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that everyone experiences jealousy at some point in their lives, and it was sad to see how they portrayed Salieri as so fixated on Mozart. But really, I think you need to see others' success as something to strive towards and not something to work to destroy, as was the case with Salieri as the film progresses.
And what did you think about the similarities between Mozart and Salieri within the film?
I thought it was interesting to see it play out on the screen because they really did have a lot in common. For example, the movie shows that both of their fathers forced them into something they didn't want to have in their childhood. But I think it's also important to note that the movie does show that Mozart did learn his lesson when he asked Salieri to forgive him, yet he does not do the same.
And would you recommend this movie to your friends?
Of course, it's a very interesting depiction, has great musical content, and the fact that it includes family only makes it better.
As we said earlier, they do not only share common names, but Anna Maria inherited an apt for music as well. In addition, she speaks Italian like her ancestor and hopes to travel to Europe to see the places her ancestor lived and performed, saying that one day she too hopes to partake in some of the interesting experiences that they did.
And it surely would be an interesting experience indeed. And there you have it, a review of Amadeus from one of the descendants of Mozart himself. If you go out to see this movie this week, let us know what you think by posting to our Facebook page. For now, in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm Adrian Blomberg.